right, so first let's talk aim smoothing. You probably do want to have aim smoothing on, at least while you're learning. I actually am going to turn mine off just because I need to start working on my aim more. So, but typically you're going to want to have that turned on, particularly when you're starting out. But down here is where you're going to find your key bindings, right? So your common key binds are going to be things like your movement, move forward, left, backwards, right, WADS. The move left and move right are actually strafe left and right, so it's not turn left or right. Just keep that in mind. I much prefer it that way. I don't think there even is a binding for turn left or right. You don't need that. You're using your mouse for all your directional movement. As far as like, turning left or turning right. Okay, so we're going to talk about movement to the best of my ability, given the kind of janky setup that I've got. You can see my mouse. You can see my keypad. This mirrors the keyboard, basically. It's just smaller. So my middle finger is on the W key. W is to go forward. The S key is to go back. A and D to go left and right, respectively. The mouse movement determines what direction your character is looking. So we'll go to the Cosmodrome. I'm going to go up here to Skywatch. Okay, here we are. So, you can see which way I'm looking by the way the gun is pointing. And you can see as I move my mouse to the right, I look to the right. As I move it to the left, I look to the left. All right? Okay. So I can be looking this way. And if I hit A, I'm going to strafe to the left. If I hit D, I'm going to strafe to the right. And you can do this while you're doing other things like jumping. Right? Strafe left. Go back a little. Strafe right. Jump to get up. All right, space bar is the jump key. So as I'm looking around, the direction that the camera is looking is the direction that my W key is going to take me. It's the direction that the A, D, and S keys are going to be acting in relation to. So if I'm moving forward and I turn my mouse, I'm going to change directions. I can strafe. I can come around here and shoot shit. See, W, A, W. If I'm looking one way and I kind of want to look the other way and go forward, I can look that way and press strafe. I can look that way and press forward and strafe. And look, I come down into a thing. Where the fuck am I? I have fallen into a hole. See? Okay. So my movement keys determine what way I go in relation to where my camera is pointed. Finisher / player highlight. This is a key that's bound so that when you've got an enemy that's on its last legs, you'll get a little beige circle over its head, and you can hit your finisher to finish it off without having to continue shooting at it and shooting at it and shooting at it. That's mostly useful for bosses, or if you have a mod that gives you some benefit to using your finisher, or if you're doing a bounty that requires you to use your finisher. But for bosses, it's really useful. You want to be careful using your finisher when you're surrounded by a lot of mobs, because you go into a little animation to do your finisher, and during that animation, there's probably things coming up on you and attacking you, so just be aware of that. You have 4 emotes that are available to you. You can bind them to anything. I have mine bound to victory, party, greet, and thanks. And I can change those out in my emotes, which I'll show you after I'm done talking about key bindings. Your character, your left mouse button is fire. Your right mouse button is hold zoom. This is your aim down sights. I have it set to hold, so I hold it down, and then I release it to turn off aim down sights. And the reason I do it that way is because when you're aiming down sights, you have a much narrower field of view, and you also move a lot more slowly. Light attack, if you're with a sword, yes, swords use ammo, swords use heavy ammo, and they use more heavy ammo on a heavy attack than they do on a light attack. Or some of your supers will have a light attack versus a heavy attack. You can block with some supers or with swords, so it's good to know where your block key is. I always forget to block. I need to start remembering to block. I should probably do something about that, but I'm not going to do it right now. Jump is your space bar, again, unless you rebind it. Again, you can hold or toggle, right? So if I set it to hold sprint, that means I have to hold the button down to sprint. So if I had it set to my asterisk key, I would hold down my asterisk key to keep sprinting. I have it set to toggle because I sprint so much. So I toggle it with my asterisk key, which means I tap my asterisk key once to turn it on. I tap my asterisk key again to turn it off. Hold, crouch, and toggle crouch. I kind of go back and forth on this, whether I want to have it hold or toggle. Typically, if I'm crouching, I'm doing it for a reason, and I don't want to have my hands tied up with holding down crouch, so I set it to toggle. So I toggle crouch on with control, tap it again to toggle crouch off. But you can set it to hold if you want to just hold your crouch key down as you're crouching. Class ability. For hunters, this is your dodge. For warlocks, it is your rift, and for titans, it is your barrier. So you want to make sure you know where that is bound. Air move. Honestly, air move I think might be like a warlock Icarus dash thing. It might also have to do with when you're on your speeder and you like jump off a cliff on your speeder, because let's be honest, we all do that all the time. I think it does something. I need to experiment with that. I don't really know. Anyway, this is where it's bound if you want to know. Interact. So this is if you're going to hack a computer or open a door or interact with an NPC or something like that. This one you hold down. You don't tap it, you hold it down. For class ability, I don't think you ever have to hold down your class ability. You just tap your class ability. Grenades, on the other hand, for some classes, you can hold your grenade key down to have an extra effect. Like for warlocks, there's something where if you hold your grenade key down, it consumes your grenade to do a thing, right? I think it consumes your grenade to like give you a little arc buddy to run around with you and shoot things for you for a few seconds. It'll say in your class tree whether you have to hold it down or not. Your super, of course, is your super. That's your big, hero moment move. It's going to vary based on your class and your subclass. Stasis breakout won't be a thing unless you have purchased the Beyond Light campaign and you're dealing with enemies that use stasis against you. What stasis does, it's the new subclass as opposed to arc, solar, and void. Stasis includes slows and freezes, and literally freezes. It like freezes you like an ice block, and it's really kind of pretty to look at, except when it's you that's been frozen. And you can break out of stasis with a keybind. So I've got mine bound to 6. Now, if you're just slowed by stasis, you can't break out of that. You just gotta suffer through that. But if you're actually frozen, you can use your stasis breakout key to break out of it. Your kinetic weapon is your first slot, your energy weapon is your second slot, your power weapon is your third slot. Most people leave these bound to 1, 2, and 3, I think, if I recall correctly. Anyway, that's where I've got them bound. You can also go from one weapon to the next weapon, a previous weapon, using your scroll key. So when you're in a vehicle that can fire its weapons, like if you steal a heavy pike from a fallen or something, your primary weapon fire is going to be your melee key, and your secondary weapon fire, for some reason for me it's F. I don't know what the default is, but come in here and look and you'll see. And then you can either choose to use the default and remember what that is, or bind it to something that you like and use the key binding that you like. Exit vehicle is usually jump. I have it set to control or to a shift jump because I am often trying to jump my sparrow over something, and if I just have it set to my jump key, I will dismount myself and fall to my doom. So, I mean, that's my superpower anyway, so let's make it harder rather than easier on myself.